GNASS. Two degenerates, both sides of the border. John Santina, Alex Lacasse. The Great North American Sports Show.
Hello, and welcome to another edition of the Great North American Sports Show, coming to you from the heart of New Hampshire Seacoast. I'm one of your hosts, Alex Lacasse. Joining me, as always, is our friendly neighbor to the north, John Santina, our other co-host, as we record on the evening of April 26th in the year of our Lord 2023. Our Lord, of course, being Confucius. Subject to change. John, things are looking up in Maple Leaf Land a little bit.
Man, it's been quite a time. I mean, what a hell of a comeback game for. I mean, dude, that was it was just when I saw the look on the Tampa Bay players' faces on the bench after the comeback, I was like, that's the one. That's the one we have.
We don't want to be that team. We don't want to be that team that loses to this team like that.
Oh, but yeah, it felt good. And Alex, for a second there too, I thought your Celtics were rolling as well.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about it, but we'll talk about it.
We will.
And that's why I poured a ranch water for this program.
Don't worry, we'll dive into it quick if it makes it easier, Alex. But first, we'll take a quick pit stop into New York because the Jets finally got their man, everyone. It is Mr. Alex Lacasse's favorite quarterback in the entire National Football League, Mr. Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, yeah, my guy.
Oh, of course he is, man. I know you love his attitude, too.
Yes, then we'll talk real team guy, real team first guy.
The ultimate leader. Then we'll talk about the topic on everyone's mind. That is the playoffs. But we're going to take the court first, as Alex is going to tell you, like we just said, why the Sixers have to keep waiting to play some basketball. Of course, if the Heat can pull off just a little bit more magic, and we'll check in with things out west because we do have quite the series between the Kings and Warriors. After that, we'll hit the ice because the Hudson River rivalry is tied at 2s. And of course, like we just mentioned, the Leafs have taken Tampa into the proverbial chokehold. Alex, let's dive into it.
That's right, John. This week, Aaron Rodgers finally traded to the Jets. I wrote about this on the GNASS Substack. We've been waiting since the Super Bowl for this to happen, and this was really the only place that I think really wanted Rodgers and all of his nonsense and was at least willing to take the risk, given they've already done this once before by bringing in another
Moody,
cast aside Green Bay Packers quarterback, and all he did was sexually harass an employee in his 1 year there.
Well, it certainly was an interesting one for the Jets. We know that this team has been QB starved for how many years, but I mean,
I thought Zach Wilson was supposed to be a real franchise cornerstone.
That's what I was about to say. Didn't they just take Zach Wilson like second overall, 2 years ago? But either way, they have their man, Aaron Rodgers. And you know what I think the biggest shock value is going to be for Aaron Rodgers, Alex? He is entering the AFC East.
Oh. Right. And I guess it goes without saying right now, Mac Jones is the worst quarterback in the AFC East. And who knows with Tua, and if the concussion problems come back, then we hope that he is okay and he takes care of himself and gets, he might never play football if the concussion things, if that keeps dogging him, and that'd be sad because he's really started to take that leap forward with real weapons.
I have faith that Tua can get it together, but to your point, yeah, Aaron Rodgers is the only QB he's probably definitively better than, if they're all healthy, though, is Mac Jones, I think, at this point in time.
Right, and because what's Rodgers' buy-in going to be? And I think there's a little bit better infrastructure around Rodgers. The running back they drafted last year, he tore his ACL, but Breece Hall will be back. He drafted Sauce Gardner, who everybody loves young cornerbacks. He's certainly proven the part that he's might have been the best cornerback taken last year.
Alex, just real quick, shout out to Breece Hall, legendary tweet. As soon as the trade happened, he's like, my knee's feeling better already.
All right, yeah. So he's ready, and I think Salah's I think a better coach than when Eric Mangini was coaching the Jets when they brought in Brett Favre. So I think the team is definitely in a better place, and they should compete. So then the $200 million question is, where's Aaron Rodgers headed at right now? And maybe they'll get some bounce out of it, but I think that's more of a crack high, and that won't necessarily translate to postseason success.
Alex, that's also what I was going to say. Also, just real quick, we forgot about Garrett Wilson, fantastic rookie receiver as well with the Jets, who will be Aaron Rodgers' top target. But honestly, like you bring up his buy-in, like what the fuck? A 65% of games played like clause in his contract. Like something about that, like it's not that like I get that Aaron Rodgers has
It feels like it feels too low, and for what
it
they
feels like
expect
there's
out of him.
something it feels like there's something there, and that's what's alarming to me. But I mean, Alex, I still think this does improve the Jets' outlook overall. I think they should be able to contend for a playoff spot, especially as you mentioned, like given the health problems with Tua. Fingers crossed that he stays healthy though, because I think it'd be hilarious if this Jets experiment does not work out.
That's what we're all rooting for.
That's what we all want deep down. I know that for a fact. And I'm an Aaron Rodgers fan, and I really want this one to fail. Like I hate the Jets, man. But
Right. And so I guess from a Patriots perspective, we're going to see one of two things happen. There's all the reports out there that are shopping Mac Jones. I don't believe that. The Patriots, they've just shown themselves. I think in this entire run, they've only really traded up in the draft in the first round like 1 year, and that was the year they brought in Chandler Jones and Donta Hightower. So we're going to find out if Mac Jones can really play. Now, they brought in Bill O'Brien, so maybe he gets slightly better coaching, or the Patriots are going to finish last place in this division. One of two things. Those are Mac Jones could take a step forward. But if the Dolphins are a better offense, like they are a much better offensively, gifted team than where the Patriots, have shown themselves to be these last 2 years. So I don't know if the Patriots can. The Patriots are 6-0 against the Jets since Tom Brady's left. Like those wins are not guaranteed anymore. And you take away 2 wins off these Patriots teams the last 2 years, they don't make the playoffs against the Bills and get their ass, wiped up in Buffalo. And then they're a top 10 draft team this year because, take 2 wins off a 8-9 team.
Yeah, not exactly the greatest if you're a 6-win team there.
Nope.
Alex, let's quickly stop in with Green Bay, though. How do you think the outlook is with Green Bay, Jordan Love, and in the NFC North?
So I think LaFleur's a good offensive coach, and Jordan Love, he has stepped in, and he played well in Kansas City last year. So I think there's enough physical tools there. Maybe you see similar to where the Packers were after they they have that remarkable run in 2007. Thanks, Lawrence Tynes. I definitely wanted the Patriots to play the Brett Favre and the Packers in that Super Bowl. Anyways, I digress. So Rodgers comes in. They didn't, Brett Favre was a free agent. They had to get a look at Rodgers because I think it was the last year on his rookie deal. So they make the decision to move on from Brett Favre. Rodgers proved he could play that year, but the team was still under 500. But the Packers like, no, we're fine. Like, this is our guy. I think we're going to see something similar with Jordan Love. Like, all right, like maybe the team takes a slight step back, but Jordan Love does enough to prove that he is an NFL quarterback, NFL starting quarterback.
That's 100% fair. I think another thing too that we're not accounting for is Jordan Love is a younger player. He's just by virtue, and I'm not saying he's like a running quarterback per se, but just by virtue, he'll be a more athletic player than Aaron Rodgers, maybe able to run like some more bootlegs. Rodgers, of course, like he's getting older, so he doesn't like, even though he's always been like a more mobile thrower, like he's definitely getting less mobile with age and like not wanting to get hit as much. So
but he'll still make those off-platform throws and not give a damn.
Exactly. He'll still check them out. But I think with Jordan Love, he kind of opens up your playbook slightly. Just with the ability to call some more bootlegs and things like that. And we're seeing the Packers kind of move to this restructuring anyway with the two running back system. So I think it'll kind of favor that, like a more ground heavy game, which is what the Packers have always wanted. And of course, that extra cap space you can always spend on your defense in the long run, which is always nice.
And yeah, they've had a pretty good defense these last couple of years. And it could be a case of addition by subtraction here.
A degree of that, and like they've been investing every single draft pick in their defense. So this is, like I said, it more just filters into that philosophy of going from this air raid type team with Aaron Rodgers and being explosive to sort of grinding out the clock. Alex, I think that's enough about Aaron Rodgers for now because they are not playing football.
Mercifully so, yes.
I know. But you know what they are playing right now, Alex? Well, unless you're Philly, you are playing basketball.
Or if you're the Celtics in the second half of the fourth quarter, you're just not going to play basketball. Just expect Trae Young and the Hawks. Just like I said this in the NBA playoff preview. I don't trust the Celtics. We could be playing a potentially shorthanded 76ers on Saturday in the second round, but no. The Celtics are going to Atlanta on Thursday night, and if they go out in the strip clubs and they show up hungover, like maybe the Heat are just going to freaking cruise right through the Eastern Conference playoffs out of the 8th seed. Like that's where I'm at with this team. I'm so angry, John. I swear to God.
Well, are you going to put? Well, I have one question first. So, how do you feel about Jason Tatum's performance in this game? 38% from the field.
Not great. This has been the knock on Tatum, right? The Celtics have this thing about them where they just expect like, oh, well, we're more talented, so that means the other team is just going to roll over at some point. And
I root for the Maple Leafs, man. I know what this feels like.
It's just the Celtics are the most talented team in the NBA playoffs, and they just expect teams to hand them games. And when your head coach is only going to take 3 timeouts over the course of the game, knowing that his third timeout, which would have brought them down to 5, so his third timeout happened with 4:31 to go in the fourth quarter. That was the third timeout he took in the game. He was going to lose 2 of them if it got past 3 minutes. And I think he did lose 1. And so I don't understand this fascination with NBA coaches. Well, actually, Missoula, he just looks at the spreadsheet. Well, what's the field goal percentage of teams when I take time out? Sometimes you just need to get in guys' faces and actually coach a basketball team when you see the same problems manifest themselves over and over and over again. This inability and unwillingness to meet the moment and be like, guys, we're better than this team. We just need to step on their throats and then we can rest for 3 days. And then we got Philly coming in. Maybe Embiid is healthy or not. Like, recognize the situation. Nope. And also not being able to recognize the situation. Marcus Smart has no business being on the floor for the last 4 minutes of these basketball games.
I was about to ask you that. I was like, so far in this rant, I'm not hearing any fault of this falling on Marcus Smart, which is a different, nice change of pace.
Well, no, I was coming to it, and he had awful turnovers late in that game. Malcolm Brogdon didn't see the floor the last 7 minutes of the basketball game.
Yo, he's Defensive Player of the Year. That's how that works.
Oh yeah, no, he'd dive and take out Trae Young's legs and give him 2 free throws, 90% free throw shooter. No, yeah, really smart play. Yeah. That's what we. So, look, Derek White and Malcolm Brogdon have proven this season they are better players than Marcus Smart. There's no need for Marcus Smart to see the basketball. Maybe if you're up 20, all right, go play some defense, Marcus. Like save Malcolm Brogdon's legs. Yep, I'm all for that. Other than that, no. Marcus Smart, if Marcus Smart is in the fourth quarter of close playoff games, the Celtics will not win the NBA championship. You heard it here first. And that's the other thing that pisses me off about the fans in Boston. Like, we're ostensibly, educated sports fans.
Yeah. You gotta love the tenured players, Alex. It's about the guys who want to be there.
No, it's like everyone's like, wow, like, these people we've seen Bill Russell win 11 championships in 13 years. We've seen Larry Bird, they have a 3-year span of being the best basketball player on the planet. We've seen Kevin Garnett come to town and completely change the culture. And we're going to talk about Marcus Smart diving on the floor as the reason why this team wins basketball games. Stop. It's insulting to my intelligence. And it's patently obvious the problem is Marcus Smart late in these games. And nobody wants to, everybody's like, well, but he's a DPOY. He's like, Derek White is the better defensive player right now, and it's not even close. And if you don't agree with that, you haven't been watching.
One thing too is the regular season is very different than the playoffs, and Marcus Smart, his game just doesn't fit what they need in the playoffs, man. Like, you need to be able to shoot, you need to be able to, do different things.
Yeah, he's an erratic offensive player at best.
Exactly. The inconsistencies on offense, and I'd argue it's not the erratic offense is the problem, it's the erratic decision making.
It's the decision making. It's everything. Decision making, the turnovers, and if he's going to play the hard, if he's going to do the hardo thing on defense and cost you 2 points in crunch time, when if you don't put Trae Young at the line, maybe that 3-pointer doesn't matter, or maybe that's a chance to tie late rather than go up by 2. So it just all around, the Celtics, if they don't win the championship, it will be by their own hand yet again, and there'll be no one to blame but Joe Mazzulla and Marcus Smart.
Huh? Oh, well, you heard it here first, folks. So those are your first 2 fingers to point if the Celtics are out in this round or potentially the next one. But Alex, one team that might be out this round is Milwaukee, surprisingly. Finding themselves down 3-1 to the Miami Heat.
Making a real freaking fool of myself. I mean, Jimmy Butler, hats off to Jimmy Butler.
Yeah, I was gonna say, can we shout out playoff Jimmy, please? Is this not just playoff Jimmy just destroying Milwaukee?
That might have been the most insane single game that I've watched anyone play, given the stakes for the Heat. If that series goes back to 2-2 to Milwaukee, then I think the Bucks had time to right the ship. 3-1, no, the Bucks are pressing, and it's not a good position to be in. But I think this is more like the Bucks yet again can point at their health being a problem, but also I think there's a talent deficit on this team, and it came together in 2021. Good for them. They broke through, and they took care of business. Kevin Durant wore his normal shoe size. Maybe that shakes out differently, but I think there should have been more red flags with the talent quotient on the Bucks this year.
I think it's a little bit alarming that, well, one, there's obviously a big health factor, as you mentioned. Like, Giannis is playing with a back injury. Chris Middleton hasn't really been a factor, period, for a very long time on this team just because of his health. And to your point about the talent deficit, I think it's alarming that given that situation with Chris Middleton, your second best player is Drew Bledsoe.
Drew Holiday.
Drew Holiday, excuse me. Why?
Bledsoe was the Bucks point guard when they should have beat the Celtics in 2018.
Beside the point. But anyway, Drew Holiday, excuse me. I was just Bills, all the stuff that we were talking about earlier.
I think he's playing in Taiwan now.
Yeah, no. But Drew Holiday, though, to your point, like, he's a great player. He's a 4th or 5th best player on a championship-bound team. And I don't think Giannis.
I think you get away with 3rd, but yeah, no, your point's to take.
You'd need a very, very good second one, though. And the point is, he's the second best guy in the championship team with an injured best player. So that's going to be a huge, huge problem going forward. And yeah, like, I think Milwaukee's got to make some changes here, man. Like, it feels like not just the talent deficit, like things go stale after a bit, man.
Right. No, I think you're looking at this team may need to see what they can get for Middleton, especially if they do get bounced. And I don't see the Bucks winning 3 straight games here.
No,
I think they'll probably win tonight at home, going down to Miami, and then who knows? Maybe if people see the writing on the wall, the Miami flu can creep in. It's happened before. They wouldn't be the first team to go out and overindulge in South Beach before an important basketball game. Celtics. So the Bucks are in a tough spot, and I think definitely Middleton and or Holiday are going to be on the trade block this offseason if they want to see if they can retool on the fly and then make another run. Obviously,
I think one of those guys, and you might even entertain trading Bobby Portis just because, like, to see what's out there, because he's such a useful big. Like, he's so good defensively, he can rebound, shoot the basketball. Like,
yeah, how much is Bobby Portis going to return on the market, though?
It's about getting that salary, though, because you can flex the salary in the offseason, Alex, and that's the thing. Like, they need the ability to add players, and I get it's Milwaukee, so they're going to have a tough time, but just having things like your veteran exception available to maybe get a wing player as opposed to having an extra big, like, to your point, like sending out Holiday and Middleton, like, those kinds of moves, even if you just get draft picks in return, you get the cap space to potentially make another move for a player. But obviously Milwaukee's a bit of a tough selling point, so they probably want the under contract star, but see how that goes. Alex, let's take a quick break and then we'll jump out west.
Sounds good.
And we're back, Alex.
And we're back.
We talked about the series out east. Well, some of them, because, obviously the Sixers finished a little early. But we'll jump out west. Alex, where do you want to start out west?
I'm resentful at the rest of the league for allowing the Lakers to put themselves in this position.
You don't like all the offseason, or excuse me, all the trade deadline moves they made?
No, they were very great moves with the Lakers, but what is this team? Like, what is the league doing granting the Lakers any favors? They have the caked in natural advantage because every free agent on the planet wants to play there. And the Lakers didn't have to give up two of their remaining first round picks, or excuse me, one of their remaining first round picks. I think they had to give up one when they traded with the Jazz. But the fact that the Lakers were able to make these moves, get bailed out for what a crappy team they built for at the beginning of the season, and they didn't have to give up all of their draft capital in the process.
So I can't stress this enough as someone who does not like the Lakers, but I have to play devil's advocate here, man. That is brilliant, brilliant management. If you can
absolutely,
convince,
yeah, no,
if you can convince, like,
get themselves out of the situation they put themselves in,
dude,
Rob Pelinka, executive of the year.
You literally, like, one thing I will always maintain, man, GMs cannot save themselves from themselves. And like that's the whole issue. And if Rob Pelinka can figure that out, man, or can figure out how to take advantage of that, like good on him. And he made his team back into a contender for it. And we all know this. It's tough to keep LeBron James happy sometimes. I don't think he'd ever leave LA at this point of his career, but the fact of the matter is,
I mean, I guess he wants to sign for the league minimum. He'd probably take a minimum deal to play with his son Bronny.
Yeah, but
that'd be the only thing.
Yeah, but that's like down the road still. Like, I don't think
it's 2 years or what year for.
That's still down the road though. Like, my point is, like, I don't think he's gonna actually, I guess 2 years would be a bit soon, but like, I don't think he's gonna up and leave on the Lakers just yet. But it's for Rob Pelinka, like you said, unbelievable job with the Lakers. And guys, to your point, Alex, stop fucking doing these guys favors. If you're gonna do favors, do it for teams like us. The Toronto Raptors cannot lure free agents here.
Or the Pelicans. Like the Pelicans are
like the Pelicans.
Pelicans are pretty benevolent. So John, Dylan Brooks, if I'm in that Memphis locker room, I'd want to knock that dude's block off. Like, LeBron's only the best player in the last 20 years, but let's agitate him and give him more reason for him to go full hog against us. So
he's not even a good villain. Like, it's like, dude, throw a bow or something. Like, I love.
Not even Ron Artest. Like, at least Ron Artest was legitimately crazy.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I love Dylan Brooks, but it's like, dude, do some wild shit. Like, fucking start a brawl or something. Like,
exactly. Like, if you're gonna be a bear, be a grizzly. Be a grizzly. That was not planned. I promise. That was not planned. But so, John, let's assume that the Lakers take care of business in one of these next 3 games, because I just think Memphis has not played cohesively enough to win 3 straight games. I think the Bucks have a better chance of advancing than the Grizzlies. I'll put it to you that way. So who's going to pose a tougher matchup for the Lakers? Because the Kings and Warriors, as you said off the top, they're tied 2-2. If I was a betting man, I'd probably take the Warriors to close out this series eventually. But things are up in the air right now. If you're the Lakers, who would you in this series?
Ooh, it's a tough one, because to your point, I think ultimately the Warriors are going to take this one in 7, with De'Aaron Fox having that broken index finger now. But
yeah, and it's on a shooting hand.
Exactly. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I think that he's still going to be a very effective player, but I think that's going to be a bit of a problem for him, obviously. But if I am the Lakers, I think I want the Warriors here. I think you match up better against the Warriors, especially given the fact that Anthony Davis can just probably bully around whatever they're going to throw at him. Like, I can't see Draymond Green being able to stop him. I can't see Kevon Looney being able to stop him. I can't, like, realistically, you need a big, strong, athletic player who, I mean, they just don't have that. And then in addition to that, the defense on the wing for the Warriors, with Andrew Wiggins kind of just still ramping things up and not really being a factor really at all still, you're in trouble, man.
I think if Steph was to dramatically outplay LeBron James, and that he's not afraid of LeBron, if we've learned anything from their matchups through the years, I might lean Kings with a injured De'Aaron Fox. Now, again, I don't think the Kings, I think the Kings, the longer this series goes with the Warriors, the more, well, we're kind of just happy to be here. That might set in a little bit. So I think if the Kings were to get through, then that, you can multiply that factor that maybe I was like, all right, now we're just really happy to be here. And if you want to talk about all the history and yada, 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 Lakers, the Lakers have always been the hammer to the Kings' nail. So personally, if I'm the Lakers, if I think my offense is in a good place, then I would take my shot with the Kings because there's just the Steph Curry thing with, LeBron and Steph Curry. And Steph Curry might be the only player in the NBA you can say, like, yeah, I put LeBron in his place plenty of times. Like, he's just another dude.
Like more times than I can count, probably.
Yeah. And so that would be the one thing that gives me pause if I'm the Lakers and drawing the Warriors.
I'm just thinking though, like, because if you're the Kings, right, and you're the Kings, you win this series, that means that De'Aaron Fox really isn't being affected by that finger injury, and he's as he's shown, it's only been 4 games, but he's a straight up killer in the playoffs. And you have Domantas Sabonis, who's a much better matchup against Anthony Davis than
Malik Monk revenge series too.
Yep, and Malik Monk. So I don't like the matchup for the Kings versus the Lake. If I'm the Lakers, I don't like that matchup against the Kings, but.
They'd have to prove that they can run with them for sure.
Exactly. But to your point, Alex, like, who's not winning games in basketball? Young players.
That's true.
And the Kings are definitely one of the younger teams in the playoff equation.
So yeah, that'd be tough for me to pick the Lakers. So yeah, that'd be tough for me to pick the Kings over the Lakers for sure.
Yep. Alex, let's jump to the other LA team though, because didn't do too hot.
No, John, who's the best player on the Kings left? Or excuse me, who's the best player on the Clippies left?
Ooh, I mean, who's left?
Yeah, who's left? Because their two all NBA wings have disappeared. They've disappeared in thin air apparently.
Which is so shocking considering who they are.
No, no. Paul George and Kawhi Leonard are definitely known for their perfect attendance record in the regular season.
I know, right? Oh, but Alex, I think it's a. How have you felt about the Clippers overall, though, with this whole experiment under Kawhi Leonard, like with the whole Kawhi Leonard and Paul George going home thing?
I mean, I think this is the negative side of the coin of load management here. I mean, it's not to say that Kawhi Leonard hasn't dealt with serious injuries, but my point is maybe there's been times where he could have ramped up sooner, quicker to get back sooner and played more games at top flight competition, because it's kind of like the phenomena we see in the NFL with less contact during, training camp. There's no more two-a-days. There's only so many padded practices they can do during the regular season. Your body has to, on some level, adjust to as close to, in the NFL, you're only playing, real competition once a week. But I think, for the NBA, you need to go at full speed for as long as you can. And I think this because I don't think Kawhi Leonard's body has just, in these last, 3-4 years, has really played at full speed enough, and now he's going to keep having these nagging injuries. So that's my opinion.
So by the way, I just looked it up to be safe. They just announced he has a torn meniscus as well. But just a lot of repeated injuries for Kawhi Leonard in general. And one thing that a lot of people don't give credit for, to your point, like when he was with Toronto and they did the whole load management thing, he was 100% healthy the whole year and playing at full speed when he was in games. So it was just they chose to sit him out for injury prevention purposes. I think if you're ramping up a player, like you have, like to your point, you have to be really careful and you have to make sure that they're properly accustomed to going full speed, especially in a playoff game.
And sometimes they got to push themselves too. Like they had to say, like, all right, like I'm still getting my feet back. This might not feel like totally natural yet, but I got to trust my rehab, and I got to trust that, these doctors, they know what's well, and like, I'm going to push myself. And I think the reluctance to push himself at times, that is probably hurting Kawhi Leonard and the Clippers right now.
One other question too with this, because there is a piece of this that is load management, but we talked about how Milwaukee might have a talent deficit, or maybe like the chemistry build isn't right. Do you think it's time to blow up this experiment with the Clippers? Because like it just doesn't feel like they're ever able to get over the edge despite the talent that they have.
I think, yeah, the continuity has been the big problem with this team. And either George is healthy, Kawhi Leonard's out. Kawhi's healthy for 40% of the time, but Paul George is out. And it just, they haven't been able to get in sync. Now, I mean, certainly the injuries and the unfortunate timing of them has played a factor here, but like maybe Kawhi Leonard isn't in LA to begin with without them trading Paul George. However, you can't tell me that the Clippers wouldn't be in a better position today if Kawhi Leonard had just said, all right, maybe I won't be an overnight contender with the Clippers, but I really see something in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and that probably would have been a better foundation.
Oh, absolutely.
When he got there.
That was one of the trades that long term is not looking like it's going to be won by the Clippers, because and to your point, like yeah, just something feels off like it with the chemistry there. And it could be the continuity, it could just be the mix of the players. Like I honestly do not think adding some of the nuclear personalities that they have, like Russell Westbrook sticks out, for example. And like
I feel like they were able to incorporate Westbrook at least better than anybody for the last couple years.
See, but they did from like a supporting player standpoint. But I think having all those big personalities too, like these are all things that traditionally do not help your chemistry. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Like, and that's more what I'm getting at is I think they sort of just bet that we're going to have more talented players than you, and that's how we're going to win this game. And I think ultimately that doesn't work out because you're not addressing the intangible part of the game that everyone in every sport it really accounts for.
Absolutely. And so, yeah, the Clippers they're obviously in trouble, and well, that's that, But John, the number one seed in the West was the Denver Nuggets, and they've always had this issue in the playoffs. They've had talented teams. You probably have to go back to the 80s, but they've had talented teams, but they were never serious teams. We're going to find out if this Denver Nuggets team is serious real soon against the Phoenix Suns.
I know. And it's I feel like it's a tough draw for Denver because they keep drawing these teams that they're just athletic, they're lengthy, like they're teams that are going to really test Nikola Jokic and his value because, for example, a team like Phoenix can play a little bit smaller, can move Durant to even the 5 position. And you're talking about changing the whole outlook for Jokic defensively.
Well, if Ayton wants to dig in defensively and make Jokic have to work on the offensive end, what's he going to have left on defense for a guy who's not that mobile to begin with?
That too. And that's the other thing is like they also match up much better, to your point, with DeAndre Ayton. And yeah, like we're gonna find out real quick. And you brought up health and load management a little bit earlier. Denver is one of those teams that continuity because of their health might be an issue as well.
Yeah, I mean, certainly not to the extent that the Clippers have gone through.
Oh, no, not that bad, no.
I mean, Michael Porter Jr. is always a wild card here, and if he's only 60% of the player that he was projected to be when he was this prospect, even though he had back injuries, and those are for a 6'9", 6'10" guy. That's that's serious issues. So if Michael Porter Jr. shows up and actually can somewhat mitigate either Booker or Durant, I think the Nuggets got a puncher's chance here. They have the issue with altitude, but granted, in the playoffs, both teams kind of have to deal with it given the schedule. So that the altitude thing gets a little bit flattened out versus, the regular season. I don't trust this Nugget supporting cast, and even though I'm if you've listened to the program with any regularity, I am not a believer in Chris Paul. It'll be really interesting if Chris Paul goes against the Celtics. It's like something we'll have to give there, right? In the NBA Finals, but that's for another day. Alex, I just think I was just gonna say, like, I trust the Sun star power more than the Nuggets, and the Nuggets, I don't know.
That's what I was about to say is I don't necessarily like Chris Paul all the time in the playoffs, but you know who I do like is Kevin Durant and Devin Booker.
I
And I
like
like
Kevin
them.
Durant and Booker. I could take him or leave him.
Dude, Booker had a pretty big first round, man. That was impressive to say the least. But I get where you're coming from, where he's not a proven commodity just yet. But I like the upside there a lot more than I like the sporting, like to your point, like anything else that's complimenting Jokic. And we all know what Durant can do. We all know he's a killer in the playoffs. Obviously, he likes playing with superstars. He's a little bit of a bitch, but either way, he's still a fantastic player.
Right. And so, yeah, I think ultimately the Suns, it might be a long series. And if it's maybe maybe home court advantage matters more to the Nuggets, and maybe the Suns, they can't get over the altitude thing. Like, I mean, I don't think the Suns are the most mentally tough of all teams, kind of like the Celtics. So I think I give the Nuggets a puncher's chance here, but the Suns should take care of business.
I agree with you there. I think the Nuggets, like, and also anyone as good as Jokic, you always got to give him a chance in a sport like basketball because he can just take over games. But yeah, I don't see them beating the Suns here. I really think I like what the way the Suns have put their team together, especially after the Durant trade. And man, they should be the favorite for the championship. But something
Yeah, given
like
how the Celtics have played, yes, they should.
but it just something feels like wrong about saying that right away. That's all. But
Right, because yeah, and that's I think it's kind of the Chris Paul and Kevin Durant thing. They're like Chris Paul's a choker, and Kevin Durant hasn't necessarily shown himself again to be the mentally toughest of superstars. You know,
the term is kind of a bitch.
Kevin Durant has kind of sometimes shown himself as kind of a bitch, and that's why he had to go win his championships in Golden State. Well, that's enough of the hardwood, John. We're getting back onto your domain here, and that's the ice. John, I picked the Rangers to win the Stanley Cup. I think we both thought of the Rangers pretty highly in getting out of the East. Or do you have the Bruins? I beg your pardon.
I have the Bruins. I have the
Okay,
Rangers
so,
winning the
all right.
series, though. So if they fuck this up, man, they're fucking both of us here.
Yeah, exactly. So are the Rangers in trouble now that they're tied 2-2 with the New Jersey Devils?
I just want to say this right now that Alex and I were doing fucking proverbial high fives when the Rangers took a 2-0 lead. The way the Devils have stormed back, though, has been so impressive. And it was so funny, too, just like capped off by Jack Hughes' hilarious mic situation with the press. Like, I don't know if you saw it, Alex. Like, they're interviewing him, and he's like, we got smacked the first two games. I don't want to talk to you guys. But the Devils, young team, like I said, super athletic, storm back. And what a story, by the way, with the Devils, specifically in net. Akira Schmid, or Schmid, I'm not quite sure how to say his last name, but the Swiss goaltender, rookie goaltender who's played, I think, 18 or 20 career games, comes in and he's been lights out the last two against the New York Rangers. So he's gotten the Devils back in and almost single-handedly. Also, Jack Hughes playing fantastic.
He's doing his best. What is Jonas Hillenberg, the Ducks goalie from way back from Switzerland. Hiller, Jonas Hiller.
Jonas Hiller. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I was like, I could see the floppy hair.
Doing his best Jonas Hiller impersonation.
Exactly. But yeah, Akira Schmid has been fantastic. And it looks like we got a series, folks. And it's a good thing that we predicted, Alex, here, a good one on GNASS, because round one is always the wildest. And it's looking like this one might go 7.
I think, yeah, you said this could be a long series, but yeah, maybe the Rangers' confidence is a little shook right now, but I feel like they have to right the ship. They're just too talented not to.
I'd like to think so. Like it's the depth is there. They have the experience as well in terms of like the Stanley Cup winners, the classic that always kind of seems to push you over the edge. And the Devils, like I said, who's not winning in sports, Alex? Young guys. And don't get me wrong, Akira Schmid is a fantastic story, but a 22-year-old backup goaltender, rookie goaltender coming in and backstopping arguably the youngest team in the Eastern Conference to beat arguably one of the favorites in the Eastern Conference is, I mean, don't get me wrong. I would love for it to happen for story purposes, but man, I think the Rangers right this ship. And I also really think that at some point here, Artemi Panarin and Patrick Kane are going to get rolling. Like we've already seen Kane find the score sheet a couple times. I think it's just a matter of time before we see Panarin pop off. We've seen all the other superstars in all the other series start to score points. It's only a matter of time before the Rangers catch up.
And obviously, they were good. They played well together, and they had good chemistry when they were in Chicago. So, John, the Hudson River rivalry, that's just really the appetizer because everybody really is here to at least see your impression of the Leafs. We've been here a decade ago, John. Granted, lockout shortened season. Leafs are up 3-1 on the verge of going to the second round of the playoffs for the first time since 2004. The George W. Bush administration down here in the States. Are the Maple Leafs going to take care of business, John?
I really hope they do, man. I just want to say this right now. These gaslighting motherfuckers, they get blown out in game 1. Blown out. Come out, storm the gates game 2, and tie the series. Game 3 was like the shittiest performance I've seen them play in a long time. Managed to win that game. Game 4. It was 4-1.
Oh, it was 4-1 for a second.
It was
I did
4-1.
check the score before I went to bed, and I was like, "Ooh, might be tight booty syndrome." Game 5 up in Toronto,
I was
Air Canada Center.
Scotiabank now, but
well, no, it's always gonna be the Air Canada Center.
It should be, but but yeah, it was watching that game too. Like you're just like looking at like this is the experience being a Toronto fan. You're just like talking to all your friends. You're like these fucking guys still haven't learned, these stupid fucks. And then it's like by the end of the third period, you're like, I'm all in, boys. I'm all fucking in. Let's fucking do it. And it's like, but at the same time, in the back of your mind, you're like, they're gonna fuck me and lose this game.
So that begs the question, John. The question that we had on Tampa coming into the series was, have they just played too much hockey these last 3 years? And the answer so far has been yes. And you can't close out a 3-goal lead up in game 4. You know, sir, maybe the Maple Leafs are getting a couple of bounces here and there, but I feel like if you're Toronto, you want to take care of all family business and get this done in game 5.
I 100% agree with you. You need to just break duck. You need to step over that bar and just let this be the platform for you to take off in the second round. And I know it's likely against Boston, and that's a cruel fate, but the fact of the matter is get momentum on your side, get rolling, and get ready to play the best team in hockey. And one other thing too with this team, Alex, you mentioned that maybe the Lightning have played too much hockey. I actually think Derek Lalonde, who's on the panel here in Canada, led us into a great insight, because one noticeable difference between the Maple Leafs and other years in the playoffs is their biggest problem has been a net front presence, whether it's on offense, whether it's just being physical on defense. The trades of Jake McCabe, Ryan O'Reilly, Luke Shen have really helped the defensive end. But you're seeing the onus on the forward group to get to the front of the net, make their presence known, not take any punishment that's necessary, and just make Andrei Vasilevsky's life a living hell. And you're seeing the Leafs defensemen, it's not big slap shots, it's not big one-timers coming through. It's seeing eye shots, making an effort to get the puck through from the blue line. And why I bring up Derek Lalonde is because he brought up the study where Andrei Vasilevsky is one of the lowest percentages of tracking pucks from the point. So personally, I think this is just strategy and adapting, and I think the Leafs have done brilliantly here. And don't get me wrong, Tampa's played a lot of hockey, but we got to give credit where credit's due, man. And for once in my life, the Leafs are attacking the net with purpose.
Right. And so I think they got to win game 5, because if Tampa goes back, if Tampa gets this series back home, I think they could empty the tank in a game 6, and they, with the back of their mind saying these guys are going to play in front of their home crowd in a game 7. All of this history that is on their shoulders, and that sweater is going to get pretty heavy in a game 7.
You're not wrong there. And this team's one big flaw is always proven to be mentally. It's always that last hurdle they can't get over. And I can't stress this enough. If it comes to a one-game situation in hockey, you are always going to bet on Andrei Vasilevsky. This guy has double the amount of playoff wins as the next closest goaltender. He's the best goaltender of the modern era. The Leafs have been given a gift here, guys. He's given up over 3 goals in 10 of his last 11 games. He's clearly not playing up to par. You need to take advantage of this while you can. You do not let the series go on any longer. You smell blood in the water, you kill the animal. That's it. There's no debate, man. You go for the jugular.
So, John, how many more games the series is going to go?
Oh, probably 3.
Oh no! Oh no!
No,
Well, I picked
I don't,
Toronto in round one. I
I
went there, and I'm sticking by it.
no,
But for the sake of, geez, like, so for the
for,
sake of like I have no vested interest in this, John. But like for the sake of my heart, like
for your heart, dude.
for
No,
this, yeah, don't
okay.
cry for me, Toronto. But get this done. Get this done in Game 5.
I everything I know about this team, like here's the thing. Realistically, do I think it'll go 7? I think it ends in, I want to say 6,
You can say less
but
than 7 and couch
I could, that's true. I'm not going to couch it though. I'm going to say 6 because everything that I know about watching this team for the last 7 years tells me that this is a game they're going to not necessarily come out flat, but lose in some facet, whether it's a choke last minute or they go through like a gaff. Like we saw Michael Bunting basically lose game 1 for them, despite the fact, like, don't get me wrong, Tampa was going to run away with that game, but he made sure that it was no question. And that's sort of the added, that's generally been the mindset of this team. So I want to say 6, but dude, you can't go back to Amalie Arena. Like you can't go back to Tampa Bay.
You
Like,
better not. And we'll leave the puck talk right there because our next segment, we took a brief hiatus with the NHL and NBA playoff previews, but it's the return of This Week in Social Media, John. Just as our lovely viewers and listeners know, just life just happens a little bit too fast online. So here at GNASS, we just like to take a couple minutes just to slow things down and celebrate the best / worst of the cesspool that is social media. John, you touched on playoff Jimmy Butler earlier. He's getting your shout out this week.
he definitely is because Alex, what do you actually answered the question already? It's Allen Iverson, LeBron James, James Harden, Jerry West, Kobe Bryant, Kevin Durant, Larry Bird, Damian Lillard, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and Shaquille O'Neal. Those are all players Jimmy Butler has now outscored with his playoff career high. That is an impressive list, my friend.
That is quite the impressive list.
The fact of the matter is just Jimmy is just killing it right now. He's leading the Miami Heat. I didn't think he had this in him. I saw another meme that called him the reverse Bam Adebayo, which was pretty funny too.
Yeah.
But shout out to playoff Jimmy, man. He's a straight killer, and we might get to see the Heat pull off some magic in round 1. Alex, who gets your shout out this week on social media?
We bashed the Celtics plenty. So their former head coach Ime Udoka.
No.
This was one NBA story that we didn't hit on this week. But you mentioned James Harden has now been surpassed by Jimmy Butler in his playoff single game scoring high. Well, there's been some talk that Jimmy Butler may want to go back to Houston just because
you mean
loved
Jimmy Harden?
Yeah, Jimmy Harden. James Harden loved the Houston strip club so much. There's been a legend that he hung banners, and so this comes from our friend, depressed Warriors fan, at Go Iden State. We'll put on the old screen share if I can. Oh, here we are. So our. Oh, I guess you gotta give me the audio. So you gotta give me the AV assist, John. I cannot screen share on my.
1 second, Alex. We can't play volume, but you can speak to it. Give me.
Yeah.
Okay, ready?
Yeah, so the caption from our fan, depressed Warriors fan, it's James Harden, Ime Udoka at the Houston strip clubs next season, and it's just the vintage meme of Shaq, Kobe in the early 2000s Lakers running a train on the entire league. So I think this quote speaks quite for itself. If James Harden does go back to Houston, then the real fix is in, John.
I think the bigger question is when he retires, how many strip clubs are going to have his jersey hung up?
The over under in Houston.
everywhere.
Gotta be, yeah. They're all. I just assume all of them. That would be. I think that would be.
It's like Wayne Gretzky. No one can ever wear it again.
Yeah, yes, exactly. Yeah, retired at 13 in all the strip clubs. From over unders, that brings us right into Degenerate's Corner, John.
Sometimes she goes, sometimes it does. She didn't go. That's the way she goes.
22 black, 22 black. Ass, son of a bitch.
Fucking way she goes, he said.
Oh no, why did I bet the company payroll? Oh, Gil's in a lot of trouble.
Can the boys beat the number? We'll find out on Degenerate's Corner.
It's the way she goes, buddy. Fucking way she goes.
Ooh, buddy. All right.
Everybody's
Alex,
favorite segment.
Everybody's favorite segment, my friend. And
At least mine when we win.
I know, right? But it looks like we did have some wins last week, Alex. What did you win last week, my friend?
Are the monopolistic sportsbook provider here in New Hampshire offered a great boost on LeBron going over 25 against the Grizzlies and whatever game that was. We hit that. John, how did your best bet do last week?
My best bet did very well. We took Dallas Stars to go money line win on game 2, and Dallas cashed in, folks. So we made some money. Alex, what do you have for your best bet this week, my friend?
This is plain and simple, John. I'm betting on the Celtics offense. They better take care of business in game 6, because if this goes back to game 7, I'll probably eat the hat that I'm wearing, actually.
Don't shoelace this time, folks.
We're going to take the Celtics team total over 119.5. The defense hasn't really traveled to Atlanta in this series, so we'll bet on the Celtics offense being angry.
Yeah, they traveled. Didn't you see Marcus Smart do that whole knees bullshit?
So Marcus Smart, his defense has been pretty inadequate, at least in Atlanta. So that all those games have gone over. All the games have gone under in Boston. All they've gone over in Atlanta. But I don't want to rely on the Hawks, because maybe they also just pack it in.
Ooh.
The second the Celtics go up 15, and that's still very much within the realm of possibility. Like it on one hand, it is good that the Celtics are doing this against the Hawks versus like a real team that has has championship aspirations. John, what's your best bet?
My best bet, I'm also going to go to Boston, but we're going to take the ice. Boston Bruins versus Florida Panthers. I'm going to take Brad Marchand to score in game 5. Brad Marchand's got 3 goals in 4 games. Patrice Bergeron's return is pending. Even if they're on separate lines, we know that's going to drive some fits for the Florida Panthers. So I like
They'll be on the power play together.
Exactly. And I like Brad Marchand to score in game 5 because of that. Alex, let's hit the parlays, my friend. This is where we make the real money. Alex, what is your parlay this week?
I think in the long history of this, we've had 2 that hit.
if that.
I know I have one.
One of these will hit, though, and we're going to make a lot of money.
Yes. So granted, as the season, as the NBA and NHL seasons wind down and move into the playoffs, there's a little bit less of a menu to choose from, but nonetheless, we're going to go late Eastern Conference game. Surprisingly, they're playing in Milwaukee. We're going to take the Bucks tonight. Given how the Bucks lost the Heat in the bubble, the Bucks cannot lose in 5 games to the Heat this season. Famous last words, right? So we're going to take the Bucks on the money line. We're going to go over in Sacramento. Give me a shootout. Light up that beam tonight. So we're going to go over 234.5 in the Warriors-Kings game. And you son of a biscuit, you logged me out. Stand by. We're standing by on Degenerate's Corner on the Great North American Sports Show while Alex logs back into his sports book. All right.
You got it, or?
No, we're back up.
So we're good.
Taking the Celtics on the money line again. Famous last words tomorrow night. This team, the Atlanta Hawks, the fact they've brought the series back to Atlanta is the Celtics should be ashamed of themselves. So just get yourself onto the next round. Enough of this. I'm just so we're gonna actually take an XFL game. The DC Defenders. I think that the playoffs are starting this weekend. Give me the DC Defenders. They've been the best team in the league all year. They're going against the Seattle Sea Dragons. I can't give you really insight. The DC has a few guys that have played quarterback in the NFL. This game is in the afternoon, so Seattle doesn't have Ben DiNucci at night to fall back on. So I like DC to at least win the game and move on. We're gonna have one NHL bet, John, because I really like the number. It's plus 145, which gave us a good boost here. We're gonna take Vegas at home in the first period, minus half a goal. Just gotta finish ahead. It's plus 145. And so all that together, that gave us a plus 11, or excuse me, yeah, plus 1110 on for our odds for this parlay. But John, I think you have an even juicier one for us.
I do, my friend. I decided to parlay all the game fives I could together. So I decided to take the Bruins money line game 5, Seattle Kraken money line game 5, Las Vegas Golden Knights money line game 5, the Toronto Maple Leafs money line game 5, because even though I think this will go 6, common intuition tells me that the Leafs will probably figure out a way to not do what I'm thinking.
It's the reverse emotional hedge.
Exactly. Like, you got to just hedge your bet there. LA Lakers money line game 5, which I actually do think they'll win. And then to juice the line, despite the broken finger, I'm going to take the Kings in money line game 5, just to, like I said, need to juice the line a little bit, even more than we have.
The Warriors have been trash on the road all season, and it'd be a shame if that reared its head in a game 5 that they probably need to win to get best position themselves to move on.
Exactly. But that total odd, Alex, plus 47.65.
Well done.
Like I said, one of these hits and we're good. May the odds be in your favor, my friend.
And same to you, my friend.
Thank you, sir. Any thoughts for our listeners, our viewers, our humble subscriber, our I'd say our fans as we close out the show?
Well, before we say goodbye, John, we've also postponed our everybody's favorite NBA lottery segment for who's going to win the Victor Wembanyama sweepstakes. So, John, if you'd be so kind, can you please spin the wheel to see who's going to be drafting Victor Wembanyama?
Well,
courtesy of our friends at Tankathon.
We certainly can. So here we go. Of course, the Detroit Pistons have the top odds. And this week, the winner for Victor Wembanyama will be
the Washington Bullets. I think the Bullets have come up before for us, so that might mean something.
We've gotten the Blazers and the Bullets for sure, I think. So definitely an interesting one there. But Washington, if you win this draft, congrats to you. But we'll see.
That might be the Twin Towers of Kristaps Porzingis and Victor Wembanyama. Something might have to give there.
How many games do you think the two of them would play combined?
I think they would probably look to move. They'd look to sell high on Porzingis the day after the draft, or the day after the lottery. Excuse me. You know, I can wait for the draft.
Right, just get rid of him as soon as you can. Just like
as soon as you can. As soon as that league year opens.
We have the two guys we watch. Bye. All right, Alex. Let's close out the show. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment, hit the bell. It helps with the algorithm, guys. Thank you so much.
I second that.